Hello, everyone. Welcome to Latin 2 for Friday. Let's see. So you're going to take a quiz today, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I do have some stuff to get to. So make sure you're very familiar with these 5 lectiones. I'll be picking one of them for the quiz, and this is your last quiz of the year, guys. Congratulations. The next assessment will be the final. So there's a little more content I'm going to go over before that, but it's not much, and next week we'll start organizing all of that in terms of the lectiones you need to know, which will probably be the same ones that we've been going over for the past 2 months, and the chapters that I'll be focusing on for the final. So that's exciting. Know these lectiones, know these vocabulary as well, and know the fifth declension. I'm going to be asking about some fifth declension. It's weird. You almost would have expected the fifth declension would have been harder to grapple with. They still haven't been throwing a lot of fifth declension our way, but I think it's just a testament to the fact that you guys are probably pretty used to the endings and being flexible about learning new endings. All right, let's go over the last of this Catalan. Not only is the last quiz today, this is technically the last reading. I will probably upload the chapter 23 reading, which is more Cicero. Funnily enough, it's not actually Catalan Cicero, I don't think. But I'll probably upload that maybe like for fun, literally, because I don't think we have time to get to it. But anyway, the Latin is getting real spicy. We'll talk about that at the end of the PowerPoint. Okay, so this is the last bit of the Cicero. It looks like a lot, but it's technically like 4 sentences. Cicero is very verbose when he gets going. This is where we left off. For many times, the immortal gods have nourished hope and faith of this republic. So this is Cicero being a good, pious Roman, blaming some of their good fortune on the gods. So, hoc autem tempora praeclarissimus, et is gratias agera debetis. I won't do that thing today where I'm like pausing as we go. I'm just going to kind of work through it left to right in a way that hopefully allows time for you to be translating this contemporaneous with me so that you have enough time to take your quiz. So let's see here. What am I seeing when I go left to right? For one thing, it looks like we have one glossed word here. Those are the 5 words that we're going to encounter below. Praeclarissimus is this superlative, meaning like most glorious. Crudelissimus is most cruel. Caedes is slaughter. Sanguis is blood. And exercitus is army. Okay, so I see that macron over the O in hoc. And like autem is kind of neutral for me because I know that's just going to be like however. But then I see tempora. And I'm like, okay, I'm making a connection here. I saw a macron over an O. That made me think ablative. Now I see tempora with a third declension ablative E. I guess those are just ablative of time when together, right? Hopefully that's a connection we can kind of make. I run into praeclarissimus, a word we don't know, but it's an adjective. That's all you really need to know. We're looking at the dictionary entry for it. We see it's the first and second declension adjective. So that as ending, is that wanting to modify another accusative, a feminine plural accusative? Maybe. I don't know yet. I see eis, and I rack my brain thinking of third person personal pronouns, which we all kind of aren't a fan of maybe necessarily. And I'm thinking, what is eis there? It could be one of 2 things. So that long is, it's going to be like a them kind of thing. And I'm not sure if it's ablative or dative at this point. But if I kind of like go on ahead a little bit and I start to see what kind of verbiage, what kind of predicate we're working with, I start to think this might just be an indirect object, like a to them kind of thing. That is clarified for me when I get to my verb. But then I run into gratias and I'm like, okay, so that's a thing praeclarissimus was modifying the whole time. Those must be going together. Those must both be accusative. And then I actually get to my predicate, which will unlock this whole thing, agera debetis. If you remember, debetis is going to be ought or should, since it's right next to a complementary infinitive in agera, which is going to be like do or, oh wait, I know what agera is going to be. So agera is this horribly open-ended verb, right? But when its object is gratias, which means thanks, right? It means thanks. It's going to be something very specific. So I see that we're giving a thanks. We're going to translate debetis agera as ought, you ought to give. Yeah, why don't we just use dotare? I don't know. This is just a common way of communicating this. So At the beginning, it looks like something like at this time, however. So that's just the first three words: hoc, autem, tempora. At this time, however, you, or like you all, it's second person plural, that's the subject, from Debetus. You all ought to give to Agora the most glorious direct object, praeclarissimus gratias, the most glorious thanks to them. So we're talking about the gods. He's saying, like, you should all thank the gods, even though you should thank me too. You should thank them. So this is his way of, I think, getting away with being pretty full of himself in this speech. He kind of starts off being like, I've done all this. I saved you guys from the brink of destruction. I did all this. But now he's kind of like, it's like the Academy Award speech trope where you start thanking your parents and your acting coach. He wants to thank the Roman gods, too, so that he doesn't seem too hubristic or something. All right, not bad. Erepti enim estis ex crudelsima ac misera morta. Erepti estis sine caede, sine seguine, sine exercitu. Okay, interesting. What the heck is Erepti? So I see a Erepti there, and for one thing, I guess it's a verb we don't officially have, right? I don't believe it is. It's related to one we have, but I don't think we technically have. Oh, wait. Oh, I guess we do. Yeah, Eripio Eripara. Okay. It almost doesn't look like something we know because of the verb it's from, which let me add that in real quick. So, yeah, Eripio, that's a new one this chapter. It's related to Rapio, Rapara, but it's a little different. It's more like snatch away or rescue rather than just snatch. So what form is this erepti? Okay. Well, I've already kind of maybe given it away by underlining that along with estis, but I do not know if we've seen a perfect passive with a second person plural form of sum there. So yeah, it's just I don't think we've seen it in that person and number. But estis is the operative sum esse that is making this just a perfect passive. So it's going to be like, since it's second person plural, it's going to be like you all have been verbed. That's all that is going on. We are getting more and more verb forms as we go. And the very last thing we will do this year, which I'll talk about at the end of this video, is learn how to just completely bust open the verbs dictionary entry so that we have even more forms. There's like 4 more forms of a. We'll get to it. It's all these participles. But what I'm trying to say is, you see something like that, even if you recognize this from a verb, you might still end up racking your brain or really wanting to use Wiktionary to figure out what form it is. You know, you might see the long I and think first person singular perfect, but then it's like, why is that T there, though? That's not right. It's not an infinitive. It's just, the reason it has a long I is because, I guess he's using a masculine plural ending to talk about the y'alls that he's talking to, which would have presumably included women, so I'm not sure why it's not neuter, but anyway, so yeah, long I, a little weird. But all these first 3 words amount to is, in fact, because that's in him, is like in fact or for, you all have been snatched away. That's it. That's about it. You all have been rescued, basically. And then we find out what they've been rescued from. It's like a lot of ablatives of separation and or place from which. From like crudilissima, I see the macron with A, and I just know that's ablative. It has to be. Ac is just this like alternate version of atque. It really just means and. So the cruelest and most miserable, or most cruel and miserable death. Morta is death. All of those go together. Hopefully by now you're getting used to saying macron A's and like knowing they're ablative. They have to be. And saying E's without any macron or anything, those are usually third declension ablatives, unless they're like an infinitive. That's the only other word that we have that ends in E. I guess we have some third declension nominatives that end in E, like mare. Okay, but anyway, so you've been snatched from cruelest and most miserable death, and then erepti repeats. And see how our editor is actually adding a second estis? Cicero himself maybe didn't use a second estis, because it was just assumed he's kind of like compounding this verb's use. So not only have you been snatched from cruelest death and miserable death, but you have been snatched sine caede. We don't have that word, but if we just look at that, that's going to mean like without caede, and then without sanguina, and then without exercitu. So we just have a bunch of ablatives here. So I'm busting out all the shades of green. But they're all really doing the same thing. It's ablative separation, just over and over again. So you've been rescued from most cruel and wretched death, and rescued without slaughter, without blood, without an army. So Cicero is saying, like, all of this great stuff happened, and you guys didn't even have to, like, weather any any like that. There was a battle with Catiline. I have trouble placing whether the speech is happening after he's been completely taken care of or if it's like leading up to that. But at least within Rome, there was no fire, there was no battling. The senators who were conspiring with him were hanged almost immediately. All right, is this? I think this is the last one. This is near about the last one. Memoria vestra oquives nostrae res alentor laus fama gloraque valebant litteris vivent remenebunt que. Okay, this is the second, the second to last one. So I'll zip through it so you guys have plenty of time for quiz. Memoria vestra, I see that immediately, and I hope every one of us watching this video and paying enough attention understands that that has to be ablative. It's just gotta be. Macrones, you kidding me? Oh, keyways, that's gotta be vocative. He's just talking to a bunch of citizens. That's all. Nostra is kind of weird. I don't know, like that. It has a genitive-y energy, but I don't actually know for sure if it's genitive. I need to like keep moving. I see race, and I'm like, okay, race. That must just be the noun. I mean, the subject, right? Like that. That's kind of all that could be doing. I guess it could technically be an accusative, but we would like a subject at this point, and this counts as a subject. I'm going to very awkwardly drop in that fifth declension right there to squeeze that in real quick so we can get a look at that. So yeah, remember race, it means like thing. We have usually seen it paired with publica, meaning republic. But just to be clear, since I feel like we barely had to practice the fifth declension at this point, that could be accusative, right? All that could be is it's either nominative, singular, or plural. So it could be a singular or plural subject. That's why a lot of fifth declension nouns are maybe a little more abstract, so that's not really a distinction that's super important. Or it could be accusative plural. That's it. Or accusative singular. Wait, no, not accusative. That'd be rem. But anyway, so that's just our subject. And it's not appearing here with publica, but it's probably still something like the state. Sometimes thing is going to sound overly like casual. So it's going to be something like our state, right? So it's the nostra is not so much genitive. It's just actually agreeing with race. It's feminine, plural, nominative. And yeah, race is a feminine word. Yeah, it is. Okay, our state or our affair, oh citizens. Alentor, what is alentor? It's from allo alera, which means to nourish. And what is that tense? It's passive, right? Alentor, it's definitely passive. What tense is it? I already kind of flashed it on the screen, but if you think of third conjugation, allo alera, this must be future, actually, okay? That's pretty easy to miss. It'd be aluntur, U-N-T-U-R, if it was present. So it's our state will be verbed. Our state will be nourished, O citizens, by your memory. Memoria vestra is an ablative of means. And the next thing is like, there's almost nothing to this next little part. He's just listing a bunch of subjects. Laus, fama, gloraque. That's just going to be praise, fame, and glory. Will be well. Will be safe. Valebant, right? And then litteris vivent remenebuntque. This part's actually kind of cool. Makes me a little emotional, honestly. He says, in words, they will live and will remain. Meaning your memories will live. The state will live on. The state that will be nourished by your memories. Yeah, it's always cool to see ancient writers fully aware of the fact that if they were lucky or if they did things right, that their words would be read by future generations over and over again, ad nauseum, ad infinitum, as it were. Yeah, because he was dead on. He was right. We still read about all this stuff. Okay. I'm going to give y'all a quick preview for Chapter 24. This is the last bit of information we will learn this year. I promise you'll still have time for your quiz in just a second. But let's start to look at this so that kind of to make up for the fact that you guys might get slightly rusty over our 4-day weekend. And when we come back, it'll feel less daunting because there is actually quite a bit to this, but it's super cool. We're getting participles, and we technically have 4 different types of participles. We've already sort of looked at one version of this, but if you see here, we take a verb like ago, agera. Egi actum means to drive, to do. We were just talking about it. It can sometimes even mean to give when the object is thanks. And now we can use every principal part to get these different forms of it. Now, first of all, there's the present active part. The way we divide up participles is by 3 tenses. They can be in present, perfect, or future. And then present and perfect only have active and passive voice ones, where a future has both of those. And so we get these 4 different forms. and we get this little chart here, which hopefully that'll be like the last kind of thing you guys really internalize grammar-wise rather. Yeah, so we only have a present active participle. We do not have a passive present one. And the way we get this present one, you can see the upper part I've already declined, or I guess conjugated, the verb. And then the bottom part, I'm showing you what the actual like formula is to achieve that. So for the present active, we're actually taking the second principal part, the agera part, and we add these third declension adjective-looking endings, that ends in ns or intis, and then so on and so forth, and we'll look at the whole thing on Wednesday, but it's basically just the third declension adjective endings to basically make it mean doing. Now, I should probably explain what even is a participle. That's when we take a verb and we force it to be an adjective or sometimes even a noun. This is something we do in English all the time without thinking about it. It's not a difficult concept intellectually. We do it so much, but we haven't really quite been able to do it in Latin. We just started to learn how to do that. So this means doing, as in like currens vir est fortis, meaning the running man is brave. See how running is basically an adjective? I took it from curro, currera, and added the present active ending. Now it's an adjective, even though it's very much obviously from something that's usually originally a verb. So the running man is strong or brave or whatever. Okay, that's one example. I'm just going to go through these and let you go for the day. By the way, if you're like really pressed for time, I guess you could like pause this and take your quiz to make sure you have enough time. I didn't plan out this week as well as I should have. I should have dumped a lot more info into the Wednesday video. Okay, we have a perfect passive participle, and this is the one we were already messing around with for our perfect passive verbs. But if you just want to use that as a participle, it will not have the sum esse verb friend right next to it. You'll just take from that fourth principal part, in this case octum, you'll take that and you'll just add first and second declension adjective endings. So that'll just fully turn the verb into an adjective. And we've already seen that with adjectives like doctus, which means learned or taught, or what's the other one? We have one other one. But anyway, actus would be like having been done. So datum donum est amatus, if you look at the bottom of my example. Datum donum, what would that be? Datum from dodare? So that'd be the given gift, which is weird, is amatus. What would that be? Maybe loved? So loved, yeah. Okay, so I took two different verbs, dodare and amo amare from chapter 1, and I took their fourth principal parts and I declined them to match donum. Ooh, amatus should be amatum. Should be amatum. Should agree with donum's neuter ending. Whoops. Okay. Second and last one. Future active participle. You're adding this weird, if you look at the bottom, it's urus, ura, or urum. So it's almost like a first and second declension adjective, but it has that you are. That reminds us of the ending of the word future, which is convenient. So auctorius means about to do. We'll hold off on examples of that one. This last one is the coolest one. Future passive participle. We call these, they can sometimes be gerunds or gerundives, which are kind of two different uses of them. And that's when you add this weird nd. And if you look at the bottom right, it's ndus or nda or ndum. And this shows up in a lot of English words that are technically just coming from gerunds. But in this case, it'd be like agendus or agenda, right? Like the word agenda or agenda, agendum. So that would mean something that is to be done or like deserving to be done or needing to be done. So agenda literally means something that needs to be done. Miranda means something that needs to be seen. Amanda is something that needs to be liked from amo amare. And then I've given this example before, but Cato the Elder, not the Cato that we talk about more, but Cato the Elder, back during the Second Punic War, would always finish, he would sign out his Senate speeches with Carthago delinda est. Carthage must be destroyed. So there is like an obligatory aspect to a future passive in a way that reminds us of the subjunctive mood. So my 8th graders, get excited for next year. We're going to just be knee-deep in this kind of stuff until basically you literally have learned all the grammar, which will occur next year if we're fast. All right, enjoy your quiz, guys, and we will pick this up on Wednesday. Also enjoy your long weekend. You deserve it. Wale.